Duterte. Just let's start with these charges and exactly what he is accused of doing, and then we'll just get more of a sense about Duterte as the man from you after that. Let's start with these charges, if you will. What do we understand?
Well, first of all, it's good to be back. I think the last time we had a conversation, I just had returned from a visit or meeting with President Duterte when he was at the height of his power. So it's quite a turn of events. Well, as far as the cases are concerned, these are very robust cases. We're talking about people who are at the heart of the darkness of his death squads and alleged extrajudicial killings, now testifying or have been testifying to the International Criminal Court. One was Mr. Las Cañas. Another one was Mr. Matobato, who recently made it, I think, to Europe to provide direct evidence to ICC. We had multiple communications by multiple groups in civil society groups, also opposition leaders like Senator Trillanes, who provided overwhelming evidence that there was something systematically wrong with Duterte's drug war, meaning that what you had there was not a real drug war based on due process, but actually extrajudicial killings whereby death squads, mercenaries, and some would even say members of the Philippine National Police kind of cladding themselves and then doing some really, really dark and bloody things during night. So Manila turned into kind of a killing fields, really. If you look at it, you're looking at 20, 30,000 Filipino. You're looking at hundreds of children like Kion de los Santos. I mean, there's so many of them that it's really hard for us to cope with the enormity of this human rights catastrophe. So to be honest, despite that, the gravity of the crisis, the fact that Sara Duterte, his daughter, became the vice president, the fact that that Duterte is running for mayor right now, by the way, we'll talk about him more. Part of us were still skeptical. Will we see a day of justice? So this is a very, very big deal to see him really whisk out immediately out of the Philippines to The Hague, most likely in the coming hours and days, so that he doesn't come back to the country and kind of try to pull off his, I don't know, Trumpian comeback and present himself as a victim and try to rally people and rally support ahead of a very important elections in the Philippines in a month or two, yeah.
Because, of course, he is very well supported by a very vocal base, not just in the Philippines, but in by a Filipino diaspora around the world who, of course, repatriate their money to the Philippines, right? I mean, there is certainly a base of support for the former president.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he basically has, I know many are going to get mad at me, kind of his own version of a MAGA in the Philippines, a kind of a very right-wing populist base, which is solidly behind him, sees a man of strength and decisiveness in him. As we speak, Duterte supporters are tagging President Donald Trump online to come and save Duterte, because last time I checked, Donald Trump is against the ICC for the warrant of arrest they issued against Netanyahu, among other allies of the U.S. So going back to this, I mean, their base of support, first of all, is in the south of the Philippines, the so-called Solid South, the Mindanao region, where there is a lot of legitimate grievances against the national government. I mean, it is one of the poorest areas of the country. I come from the north of the country, where our Human Development Index is almost Southern Europe. But if you go to Mindanao, their Human Development Index is sub-Saharan African level. So Duterte's have a very strong following there because they have weaponized the grievance. They also have religious groups, powerful religious groups. One religious group, for instance, the other month had a 1 million strong rally. So definitely you never underestimate the base of support. But nevertheless, also I would say, it is not invincible. It is not invincible. Their popularity is not at the same level as before when we had this conversation. And Sara Duterte, the daughter, doesn't have his spontaneity, doesn't have his charisma, and I would argue doesn't have his Machiavellian competence. So they do have a vulnerability if indeed their father ends up thousands of miles away facing a trial in The Hague.
Well, he's on the way there. We are looking at pictures just into CNN of Duterte climbing aboard a plane